Hello everyone, and welcome to a very special spotlight episode of The Amazing Spider-Man, issue 600, with some very beautiful covers. Really do like those. This one's even a fold-out cover, which is nice. Pop quiz. What has 104 pages, is awesome, has no ads, and only costs $5. This issue of The Amazing Spider-Man. The book starts with a 62-page story written by Dan Slott and always wonderful art by John Romita Jr., who was the artist on The Amazing Spider-Man when I first started reading, so it's always great to have him back. In this story, entitled Last Legs, we get the long-awaited return of a classic Spider-Man villain, Dr. Octopus. And I've seen a lot of different reactions to his form and the way he's used in the story. I personally really like it, though, and I'm not a huge Doc Ock fan, but they made him into, in my opinion, a really sympathetic character, and they spiced him up just a bit. Now in comics, let's face it, the violence does not often have tangible consequences. But in a nice twist in the beginning of this issue, you get to see how that very violence has very real consequences for the people who lose most of those battles. And in this issue, that's really shown in a very interesting way. Doc Ock has returned, but due to the many one-knockout punches he's received during the years, he's received incredible brain trauma. And let's just say that's changed him a bit. So Doc Ock's back, but not for vengeance like you might think. He's actually here to fix the city of New York, which doesn't go as well as he plans. You see, although Doc Ock thinks he's over Spider-Man, his subconscious disagrees with him, and it's out to get Spider-Man in very imaginative ways. So due to the fact that NYC is going to hell, we get some nice cameos by the new Avengers, Fantastic Four, and Daredevil as they attempt to help Spider-Man put everything back together. But really, the first thing on Spider-Man's mind is the fact that Aunt May and J. Jonah Jameson Sr. are getting married on the same day, and that has some interesting consequences as well, as you'll see on the last page of the story. Overall, if the main story was the only thing in this book, it would still be worth the $5. 62 pages, no ads, it's awesome. You could pick it up just for that, but you don't have to. The main story is just the first of 7 individual stories in this book. That's right, 7. Not all full length, but all have something to add to the Spider-Man mythos. Second story of the book is written by the classic Stan Lee and illustrated by the incredible Marcos Martin. I am loving this guy's work the more and more I see it in The Amazing Spider-Man. Hopefully he becomes one of its main artists because the man is incredible. And, you know, Stan Lee's not bad either, so. In fact, I'll say this is the best Stan Lee written story I've read in quite a while. It's really fun. The story is called Identity Crisis, and it focuses on Spider-Man visiting a psychiatrist and has some nice cameos from all different bits of Spider-Man's past. Following that, we have a story about a young Peter Parker and his interactions with Uncle Ben. Then a what-if tale featuring on some school children wondering what it might be like to be Spider-Man. We then catch up with Aunt May as she visits the grave of Uncle Ben right before her wedding. Then we travel to the Smithsonian to find out what did happen to the Spider-Mobile. Finally, the issue heads to Salem, Oregon to find out what's going on with Madam Web, and to set up some future Spider-Man stories with a villain I think I recognize, and if it is that villain, I liked their last appearance in The Amazing Spider-Man last year, so hopefully that story turns out pretty well. But that's not all. In between several stories in the issue, you'll find Spider-Man covers that you'll never see. Some nice parodies of Spider-Man covers that reference other things in Spider-Man universe, and even DC, so that's kind of fun. And wrapping up the issue, there's a nice letters page, which while it doesn't feature any letters, does feature a lot of thank yous to the people who've brought us Spider-Man over the years, and that's a really cool read. It also features a nice thank you to the people who wrote to Amazing Spider-Man all the way back in the first letters page of Amazing Spider-Man issue number 3, and that's a really nice shout out to the fans. So what's the bottom line? Well, regardless of what you thought of One More Day, regardless of what you think of anything else about Spider-Man, if you've ever liked the character in any capacity, you really should pick up this issue. 104 pages, $5. Even if it was crap, it'd almost be worth it. But this issue is one of the best Spider-Man comics I've read ever, and one of the best comics in general I've read recently. So this really is a great issue of Spider-Man, and if you only had enough money to pick up one comic this week, I would suggest The Amazing Spider-Man, issue 600. But if you aren't limiting yourself to only one issue a week, you can click right over here and find my reviews for the other comics I bought this week. Maybe you'll find something else you like.